This is Later That Same Life, my weekly podcast. I'm Larry Fedoruk, telling stories, discussing issues, and sharing information. If you enjoy the podcast, tell a friend.
Season 2, Chapter 10, The Facebook.
Not the gun, just Facebook.
Facebook.
3 billion people are on Facebook. That's almost half the world. About 1.5 billion people on Instagram, another 2 billion on WhatsApp. The numbers cross over. Many people are on all three, but no matter how you analyze the membership numbers, they are staggering. Also, ever heard of Spool, Karma, Atlas, Oculus, Branch, Hot Studio, Caffeinated Mind? The list goes on. Over 60 apps and software companies owned by Facebook. They have spent well over $20 billion in acquisitions and mergers, i.e. buying up everything, owning it all. Many times, if something shows up to compete with Facebook, it is bought by Facebook. The corporate entity that is Facebook should not and cannot be discounted, but for the purpose of this podcast, let's focus on the social site. The Facebook most of us know. Pictures of cats and food, friends' birthdays, ridiculous comments, and the ads. The Facebook famously conceived in a Harvard dorm room over beers. That Facebook. Lately, the Facebook is evil wave seems to ebb and flow. Most recently, a whistleblower, former Facebook employee Frances Haugen, spoke to a U.S. Senate Commerce Subcommittee. She was knowledgeable, authentic, and made a number of major salient points.
My name is Frances Haugen. I used to work at Facebook. I joined Facebook because I think Facebook has the potential to bring out the best in us. But I'm here today because I believe Facebook's products harm children, stoke division, and weaken our democracy.
All right, wheels in motion. The seemingly limitless power of the social media giant about to be reeled in. Maybe. My purpose here is not to convince you that Facebook is evil or that it isn't, or that it's even a necessary evil. I think it's important to analyze the process, understand how we got here, well, and where we are. I tune into the hearings where Frances Haugen is about to testify. Raw, live coverage. I'd seen all the clips and sound bites of this whistleblower, but now it's time to hear her unfiltered accusations. For the first 30 minutes, U.S. politicians on the Senate Commerce Subcommittee grandstanded. They knew better than anyone else that they were live across America and around the world on CNN.
This is CNN.
And they had the cause du jour. Facebook is evil. And they spent their on-camera time telling their own constituents how they were on the side of all that is good and right. And they would work tirelessly to rein in the evil power. Wait, I thought this was about the whistleblower. Well, eventually they got to her. She made a relatively short statement, and again, she was brilliant and believable. I have no issues with her. More the system, who says they're actually interested in what she has to say. I don't believe they are. Watching gray-haired old people stumble through issues of modern big data and the complexity of social media and technology was and is laughable. As a gray-haired older person myself, I felt they were giving us a bad name. The whole thing felt akin to listening to my parents not allowing me to enjoy my favorite music while mispronouncing the names of my favorite bands. Turn off those Beatles. During question period, one senator, Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota, kept calling them algorithms.
And I'm concerned that this algorithms that they have pushes outrageous content. Do you think that their algorithms push some of this content to young girls?
Credibility shattered when you can't even pronounce the modern-day terms. And most of the committee questions were long, rambling diatribes with no real question in there. Blah, 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 blah. I have the camera and the microphone on me now. Here's more about me. By the end of their long speech, the whistleblower, Frances Haugen, was left with one sentence or one-word answer. Yes, this was the politicians' show. They wanted to be the stars. This newcomer was relegated to minor co-star status. Not even. Just a cameo as a whistleblower. At one point, a politician called Haugen an American hero. In fact, she may be that, but I don't need politicians framing how I'm supposed to interpret the information. I like to do that on my own. Let me just repeat something quickly I said moments ago. I'm not here to convince you that Facebook is evil or that it is not. They are a multi-billion-dollar entity, a world power. They're a government. To me, it is safe to assume that at a high corporate level, ethics are often overlooked in favor of greed. When 6 and 7 figures are tossed around like loose change, I'm going to assume people might look the other way during questions of integrity, and more than once in a while. Plus, who is leading the way here in the Facebook fight? Who is trumpeting the bugle on the high ground with an imperative of goodness? The United States, a country built on commerce. Well, and slavery, but commerce. Get rich, the American dream, bigger piece of the apple pie. This is encouraged, promoted. Capitalism, not just a way of life, but a religion. And then someone actually succeeds beyond anyone's wildest dreams, and a Senate Commerce Subcommittee starts asking questions? Makes no sense to me at all. At least not as far as any real change. Looked like a re-election show. Suddenly, Facebook is evil. Ooh. Here's something. Facebook launched in 2004. 2004. Even if we estimate that it was 2006 or 7 before it became ubiquitous, that's still about 15 years of this Godzilla stomping on corporate skyscrapers, quietly collecting data, and even themselves awakening to what they actually had. Along the way, there were warnings, scholarly opinions, heads up. No one much paid attention to that. Ooh, look, Facebook, funny video, we're on Facebook, haha. Social climate change has been at least 30 years in the making. And those climate change deniers, many on that subcommittee, are just realizing now that their inbox is flooded. The waves of good and evil around Facebook reflect much of how we feel today about anything. We care today and not tomorrow. Those who benefit from our apathy count on it. We care today but not tomorrow. Change takes a long time because we care today and not tomorrow. Is there still a Me Too movement? Do Black lives still matter? Is anybody occupying Wall Street? When was that Arab Spring? Who's wearing yellow vests or orange shirts? Are people still opening up umbrellas in Hong Kong? Who won the Super Bowl last year? Don't know, don't care. That was then, this is now. I cared that day, but then tomorrow happened. You know, it's supply and demand. Much care is needed, not enough to be found. Let's hire more give-a-dammers. Ooh, labor shortage. Today, we care about Facebook being evil, but do we, the general we, the big we, understand algorithms and big data? No. But here's the thing. History tells us that Facebook, and let's drag Google into this, didn't quite get it either at first. Google started rather nobly. They wanted to digitize the world's knowledge and make it searchable and accessible. It was more of a mission statement than a business plan. The light bulb moment for Google is a funny story. At their morning meetings, they would often chart what were the most searched items and topics. One day it was Carol Brady's maiden name, from the Brady Bunch. Turns out it was a big money question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Funnily enough, a network TV show the night before. So they solved the puzzle of the Carol Brady spike, but they saw the spike over various time zones as the show aired across America. This was 2002. And the search spike happened because of a TV show, but it could have been anything. What Google realized was that they could have predicted this spike if they had been watching across time zones, almost predicting the future, so to speak. So let me ask you, if you could predict the future, would you alter your behavior today? Most likely, you would certainly at least position yourself to maximize benefits to you, knowing what's going to happen. Google realized that they, with some accuracy, could predict future behavior. And not just with time and time zones, but with other factors, other data. They had, as Shoshana Zuboff calls in her seminal book, The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, a behavior surplus. At the same time, 2002, a very important parallel event. The dot-com bubble was bursting. Since 1995, market capital was pouring into dot-coms. Many investors didn't even understand it. They just saw it as the future. That's what everyone is saying. Hey, we're all online. Dot-coms, there's gold in them there hills. They treated dot-coms almost like a TV channel. If everyone is watching, we'll run the ads. It didn't really work out that way. And by 2002, the bubble burst. Up to $5 trillion in market capitalization was lost. How are these things ever going to make money? That's how. Data. Predicting the future. And by the way, Zuboff's The Age of Surveillance Capitalism is a must-read, in my opinion. Oh, it's a tome, it's a text, it's a tough read, but necessary if you want to survive in this new frontier of power.
Google and Facebook are the pioneers. Amazon and Microsoft have piled on. But really, over the last 20 years, surveillance capitalism, it first became the default economic model in the tech sector. But now we see it moving through the normal economy.
Ads on dot-coms weren't returning the profits on investment. So here's a quick primer on advertising.
Oh, I'd love to be an Oscar Mayer wiener. That is what I'd really like to be.
We start with this old saw. If you build a better mousetrap, the world will beat a path to your door. Well, that worked for a while, until everyone had a better mousetrap.
In the valley of the Jolly, Green Giant.
So those who could afford it advertised, reached out to the people through the media of the day to tell them about the added better benefits of their product. So many people did that it became a din, white noise, negative. Oh, so many ads, commercials. They're bad. That's when I tune out or go to the fridge for snacks.
Get your feet shined up, grab a stick of juicy fruit. The taste is gonna move you.
Advertising became marketing. The method of targeting began. So you became the right age, gender, income level, zip code, postal code for this product. They told you what you needed, but also tried to anticipate what you wanted to advertise to you. Because, throwing an ad on a TV, radio, or newspaper, that is just shouting to everyone, hoping that someone who's actually interested in your product might hear you. It's a waste of money. The holy grail of advertising has always been, if we could just know what a person was wanting, exactly when they were wanting it, and reach out to them at that exact time and place, wouldn't that be great? How do we do that? .com, big data. That's what happened. They didn't just have the ears and eyeballs on them. They could track the behavior. That's where the money was. That's where the money is. And it helped that eventually it went from that thing on the top of your desk to the thing in your pocket that goes with you everywhere. So the next step, how do I follow all of this behavior? I can't. There's billions. Oh, you know what? The machine will do it. The super calculators will crunch those numbers to follow people. It's artificial intelligence. We'll call them algorithms, named after the inventor of the internet, algorithms. Just kidding on that last part. By the time Facebook came along a couple of years later, the model was already in place. The only guy who didn't get it, if we remember, was Eduardo Saverin. Remember, he was still riding the subway trying to sell ads based on people visiting the site? Because it wasn't just visiting the site. It is what you are saying on the site, what you are searching, what you are thinking. and through a mathematic formula based on statistics, anticipating with remarkable accuracy the prediction of what may happen next. The new frontier of power. Privacy concerns are legitimate. But as one expert said, and I wish I could remember his name and quote him directly, but believe it or not, I could not find him on Google. Anyway, the day we allowed anyone in the world to ring a bell in our house at their discretion was the day we gave up our privacy. Yeah, the telephone, the landline, the first intrusion on our privacy. We fell all over ourselves to answer the phone. It was years before they even allowed us to shut off the ringer or get an answering machine, return some control back to us. What is our control today? Well, we can shut off the tech. Don't use it, I guess, but that's not realistic. So now we're turning to elected representatives to exercise some authority, take control, issue regulations for our safety. They regulated big tobacco. They made us wear seatbelts. Can they do something here? I guess. But at the same time, it's difficult for most politicians to properly regulate entities like Facebook after they already got so massive. And considering most of them don't even know how to make the font bigger on their phone, I don't have a lot of hope. And comparing Facebook to big tobacco, i.e. a company producing a harmful product while telling you that it's all fine, I see the similarities, but it's a flawed metaphor. I see the metaphor more as an easy tie-in for a political agenda. Maybe we could just let the money talk. Advertisers could walk away, and they do. But then they always come back because most of them can't afford not to be on Facebook. Advertisers don't like to appear near negative posts. They can control that on YouTube, but not really on Facebook. So do we want regulations that control what we can and can't see on Facebook and what appears around them, no matter how ridiculous or egregious? I don't. When advertisers control content, well, that's called network TV. And network TV sucks. Algorithms that promote negative content, age restrictions, things like that, those are all valid discussions. But back to Frances Haugen, the Facebook whistleblower. She pointed out those dangerous algorithms on Facebook and Instagram. Many contribute to negative body images of young female users. She also claimed that Facebook values profit over safety. Claims have also been made that Facebook contributed to the immensity of the January 6th riot in the U.S. Capitol. I believe there are elements of truth to all of that. Elements. Those elements are serious, and human lives depend on them. I'm not downplaying the severity of the issues. But let's remember, Facebook is no longer just Mark Zuckerberg and some beer-swilling friends in a dorm room. Depending on the day, Facebook's net worth is around $150 billion, and they employ over 60,000 people. Somewhere in this large corporate structure, does integrity get traded for cash? Oh, it has to. And those holes have to be filled. One of those employees, by the way, is in charge of global affairs, Nick Clegg, and he made a valid point. It is ludicrous to think that one social platform can be blamed for the ills of society, or that one tweak to an algorithm can solve these problems. It's a solid point. And I don't make it in defense of Facebook. It's a note to politicians who are using it as a handle to grab onto popularity when they don't even quite understand the problem. Polarization, isolation, social issues aren't caused by Facebook. We had them before. The platform may exacerbate the problem, but are they the root cause? Is it fair to blame them? I think politicians are just taking the easy way out, blaming the wrong thing, shooting the messenger. I grew up in media. I worked in it. My life's income was based on advertising, I guess. I'm not as negative about it as many are. I read my junk mail. I save the flyers and coupons that will benefit me. I understand it's much different now that I'm being tracked, and for the most part, in the name of commerce, I don't care. Now, am I nervous that all this information might one day be used for evil? Well, absolutely. But I try and stay aware. I use multiple sources for my information. I try and recognize the bad actors from the good. I know the difference between a decent offer on car insurance and someone selling me duct cleaning. I tend to reject friend requests from 22-year-old bikini-clad women whose names are Candy Adventure and Brianna Bosoms. Seriously, though, read The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, Shoshana Zuboff.
The digital world that has formed itself around us and the road to a digital future that we're on right now is something that has been hijacked by what I regard as a rogue economic logic that I call, of course, surveillance capitalism.
Or at the very least, watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix. Or do what I did for like 3 days in a row, quickly, just once per day. Google Jeep vehicles and then Peruvian pottery. And then I just watched the ads on Facebook and other sites for Jeeps and 4x4s and tires and vases, pots, ceramics. Didn't really solve anything, but it was fun to screw with them. Of course, everybody's got this scary story, right? I wasn't even searching for it online. I was just talking about it with a friend. And suddenly I'm seeing ads. Oh, yeah, that is scary. I don't know how they do that. Unless, of course, you're on your smartphone or have Siri. Conclusion. Is Facebook evil? No. Are there people within Facebook doing bad things? Probably. Will the government fix it? Probably not. Is Mark Zuckerberg the devil? No. He's just rich and frankly not that bright. Oh, sure, he knows something. But remember, the head of the most powerful social site in the world, as we know, is actually socially awkward. I think that's why he made the site, to be once removed from reality. You, me, all of us, we have to be smart consumers. That's our best weapon, maybe our only weapon. And governments should be careful, lest Facebook just buy you out and take you over. Unless that's already happened.
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37@gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's podcast YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.